जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवर धारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवर धारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीर वनचारी। यमुना तीर वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवर धारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवर धारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीर वनचारी। यमुना तीर वनचारी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद। श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवार आचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की, इस्कॉन यूनिटी संस्थापक आचार्य जगतगुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की, एवं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवार आचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की, श्री श्री राधा श्याम सुंदर भगवान की, श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा देवी सुदर्शन चक्र की, श्री गौर निताय की, संवेद भक्तवृंद की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि बोल। 11, 12, 13, 14, 12 में 11 purport is very short purport. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 13, entitled The Behavior of a Perfect Person, verse number 11 onwards. So 11 has purport, but it is very short purport. So we are going to take more verses, and we'll from 11 to 14 we will discuss today. Verse 11. Atrapyodaharantimam itihasam puratanam प्रहरादस्य च संवादम मुनेर आजगरस्य च. Translation. As a historical example of this, a learned sages recite the story of an ancient discussion between Prahlad Maharaj and a great saintly person who was feeding himself like a python. Purport. The saintly person met by Prahlad Maharaj was undergoing Ajagar Vritti, the living condition of a python, which does not go anywhere but sits in one's place for years and eats whatever is automatically available. Prahlad Maharaj, along with his associates, met this great saint and spoke to him as follows. Verse 12 and 13. Tamsayanam धरोपस्थे कावेर्यां सह्यसानिनि रजस्वलैस्तनु देशे निगूढामलतेजसां ददर्श लोकान् विचरन् लोकतत्त्वविवित्सया वृतो मात्यै कतिपये प्रहरादो भगवत्प्रियः. Translation. Prahlad Maharaj, the most dear servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, once went out touring the universe with some of his confidential associates just to study the nature of saintly persons. Thus, he arrived at the bank of Kaveri, where there was a mountain known as Sahya. There he found a great saintly person who was lying on the ground covered with dirt and dust, but who was deeply spiritually advanced. Verse 14. Please repeat after me. Karmana kritibhirvacha lingar varnashramadibhihi na vidanti janayam vai sosavitti नवेति च. कर्मणा कृतिभिर्वाचा लिंगैर्वर्णाश्रमादिभिः न विदन्ति जनायं वै सोऽसावेत्ति न वेत्ति च. कर्मणा कृतिभिर्वाचा लिंगैर्वर्णाश्रमादिभिः न विदन्ति जनायं वै सोऽसावेति न वेत्ति च. कर्मणा कृतिभिर्वाचा लिंगैर्वर्णाश्रमादिभिः न विदन्ति जनायं वै सोऽसावेति न वेत्ति च. कर्मणा कृतिभिर्वाचा कर्मणा कृतिभिर्वाचा लिंगैर्वर्णाश्रमादिभिः न विदन्ति जनायं वै सोऽसावेति न वेत्ति च. Word to word meaning. Karmana, by activities. Akritibhi, by bodily features. Vacha by words. Lingai by symptoms. Varna ashrama pertaining to the particular material and spiritual division of Varna and ashram. Adibhihi and by other symptoms. Na vidanti could not understand. Janaha people in general. Yam whom. Vai indeed. Saha whether that person. Aso was the same person. Iti thus. Na not. La or. Iti thus. Cha also. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation: neither by that saintly person's activities, by the bodily features, by his words, nor by the symptoms of his varnashram status could people understand whether he was the same person they had known. Please repeat after me. Neither by that saintly person's activities, by his bodily features, by his words, nor by the symptoms of his varnashram status could people understand whether he was the same person they had known. Purport: the inhabitants of that particular place on the bank of Kaveri in the valley of the mountain known as Sahya were unable to understand whether that saint was the same man they had known. It is therefore said, Vaishnavera Kriya Mitra Vigye na bujhai. A highly advanced Vaishnav lives in such a way that no one can understand what he is or what he was, nor should attempts be made to understand the past of a Vaishnav. Without asking the saintly person about his previous life, Prahlad Maharaj immediately offered him respectful obeisances. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manoabhishtham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So in this chapter the symptoms of the sannyasi are being described by Narad Muni. So far Narad Muni described the symptoms, and now he is giving a practical example where the exhibition of such symptoms are being displayed. So this is a consistent format how the philosophy is explained throughout the Bhagavatam and by our Acharyas and Srila Prabhupada. They first propound the concept, and then to make it easy for people to understand in the Shastras and even by the Acharyas, they give some analogy or some example and some stories so that the concept may be lucid to the hearer. So, in the same way here, Narad Muni is explaining how once Prahlad Maharaj met a great saintly person who was exhibiting the symptoms which he already described. So again the story of Prahlad Maharaj's character is again coming. So we can see that how fond Narad Muni is of his own disciple, Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj is a pure devotee, and that is a symptom of a pure devotee, that he likes to associate and talk about pure devotees. First of all, to understand who is a pure devotee, one himself has to come to that stage, as one cannot identify pure devotee unless he is also on the similar stature, because we can judge by our own understanding only what a person is. So unless one has come to that status, it is difficult for one to recognize who is a pure devotee. And the association of pure devotees are such that it enlivens one, inspires one feels great satisfaction, all his sinful activities are destroyed, one feels great happiness in the heart. Therefore, a pure devotee always seeks association of another pure devotee. As it is said in Bhagavad Gita, Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. At the starting of Srila? Tushyanti, 12th chapter. Mat chitta mat kad prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So the nature of pure devotees is explained in this word, how pure devotees discuss about the pure activities, transcendental activities of the Lord and as pure devotees, and in this way they derive great satisfaction by enlightening each other. So Narad Muni is also like that. Although Prahlad Maharaj is his disciple, but since Prahlad Maharaj is a pure devotee, so again he is quoting the example of Prahlad Maharaj, how he met a great saintly person who was feeding like a python. So as has been explained previously also, python just waits at his place, and whatever comes by its own accord, he is satisfied with that. That is called ajagar vritti. That means, like a python, a saintly person of Paramhansa stature, he doesn't bother about the body, about his eating, sleeping, mating and defending. He is just concerned about the transcendental characteristics of the Lord. He is so absorbed in the activities and names of the Lord that he doesn't care for the externals, his body. So such is the high standard of his devotion. So one may think that he is a lazy fellow, or he is not doing anything, and he is unclean, he is covered by dirt, as it is being explained in the next word, that Prahlad Maharaj, he went touring the universe along with his associates, confidential associates, just to study the nature of the saintly persons. And thus he came across a saintly person near the bank of Kaveri at the valley of mountain named Sahya. And the nature is being described here that his body was covered with dirt and dust. So that, but he was very deeply spiritual. Only Prahlad Maharaj could see him. Others, as it is said in the next verse, that neither by the activities of the saintly person, nor by his bodily features, nor by the symptoms of varnashram status could anyone understand that was he the same person which we used to meet him, whom we used to meet previously. He has completely changed. But only Prahlad Maharaj could recognize that he is a very deeply advanced saintly person. Because Prahlad Maharaj himself is a Mahajan and a pure devotee, so he could understand that this is not an ordinary person, he is a great person. And what was his condition? That he was covered with dirt and dust. So any ordinary person, if he sees somebody in such a condition, one will think that he is a mad person. As it was the case with Parikshit Maharaj also. When Parikshit Maharaj was, with Shukdev Goswami. Shukdev Goswami, when he was coming on the bank of Ganges to give the discourses of Bhagavad Gita to Parikshit Maharaj, he was literally beaten. Stones were thrown by children because they were thinking that he is a mad fellow. He is not wearing any cloth and he is just moving here and there. He is a young person. So, ordinary person mistakes such highly exalted persons to be a mad person. But only a devotee like Prahlad Maharaj, who is also a Mahajan, a pure devotee, could understand that he is not an ordinary person. He is a great saintly person, he is a self-realized soul, and he went to associate with him, to inquire from him, he worshipped him, and as in the future shlokas, how the discussion would be continuing, what they were discussing. So the point is that a saintly person is so absorbed that apparently it looks like he is a madman. He doesn't care for the external. And people in society may consider that he is a parasite. If he is so intelligent, if he can do so many things, then why he is not doing something for the welfare of people in general? But simply by being in that position of always being absorbed in the thoughts of Lord, they are doing the greatest welfare of the whole society. Because it is said that just like this world is running because of the austerities and penances being done by Nar Narayan Rishi. That's why the earth is holding all the living entities. Similarly, these saintly persons, because of the constant remembrance and meditation on the pastimes and the names of the Lord, we are getting everything, our merely necessities. Although there is so many sinful activities on the earth, so practically we have seen in the Bhagavatam also how earth stops supplying the necessities to the humans when there is increased burden of sinful activities. But just because of the saintly persons like these, the burden of sinful activities is relieved on earth and she keeps on supplying for the sake of these pure devotees, and in the course other living entities also get their daily necessities. So just by being in that position, not even doing anything, not even caring for their food or cleanliness or anything, still because they are absorbed in the thoughts of the Lord, they are doing the greatest service to the whole society, whole universe. Because because they are very dear to the Lord, such people. They are completely absorbed, therefore they are very dear to the Lord, and thus they are the supreme benefactors of the whole society. So, in the purport also Prabhupada is saying, Srila Prabhupada is saying that Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vikyena Ujhay. So, a Vaishnav's activity cannot be understood externally, especially those who are Paramahansas. We have also example of Vansidas Babaji, who was a Paramahansa. By his external activities, people were misunderstanding him, but Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur could recognize that he is not an ordinary person, he is a Paramahansa. So activities of Paramahansas are very difficult for us to understand. Like Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj used to go into the bathroom in a toilet so that nobody could disturb him during chanting. So for us, it's unimaginable why we should go to bathroom to chant, because that's an contaminated place for us. But for them, they are above these rules and regulations, and because they have understood the essence of all the rules and regulations. The essence of all rules and regulations is to always remember Krishna and to never forget Krishna. Smaranam satatam vismritamyam na jatuchit. What is starting? Samartavyam satatam Vishnu, vismritavyam na jatuchit. So one should always remember Krishna and never forget him. Sarva vidhi nishedhasu etayor eva kinkara. All the rules and regulations we are following, they are kinkar. These are subservient to this main principle that we should always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So these exalted personalities, since they are always absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna and they never forget, so other rules and regulations are secondary for them. Just like if some pure devotees, sometimes it may happen that a Maharaj comes in our temple and he just comes and visits and takes the darshan of the Lord out of great eagerness. A neophyte may say that why he is doing so. First he should offer obeisances to the temple, as it is the etiquette that before entering the temple one should offer obeisances, and then to all the Vaishnavas, and then to Prabhupada, and then to the deities. One may say, externally see such symptoms in the pure devotee, but since they are so eager to take the darshan of the Lord, we cannot judge them. Because they have surpassed that stage by their constant practice and their exalted position. Therefore, we cannot judge them on our own standard that why he is not waking up, like means offering obeisances. And sometimes it happens that in our society also, some sannyasis may not come to the Mangala Aarati daily. But if we go and see their daily life, they are waking up at 2:30, 2 o'clock and finishing their rounds before Mangala Aarati and doing some other service to the Lord. And if some neophyte says that, XYZ Maharaj is not coming to Mangala Aarati daily, and he starts judging him, then it would be a great aparat on the level of that neophyte. And he will have to suffer the consequences. So, therefore it is said, Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigya na bujai. One cannot understand the activities of an advanced soul. It requires, it is said that it takes one to know one. It is saying in English that it takes one to know one. One has to reach that level to understand the level of that person. Till that time, we should be safe. Better not to judge anybody. We can clarify with our seniors why such a person is doing like this, and he may give us explanation, and we may be safeguarded from committing an offense. So better to be safe than to commit an aparat. So it's better to have 3 compartments in our life. One is that, this person is such exalted person, and third compartment is that this person is not following the rules and regulation because of his weakness of heart or whatever reason might be. And third is that I don't know what is the status of this person. It's a grey area. And I'm doubtful, I'm not sure whether he is actually situated in the right position or there is some reason why he is doing the activities he is doing. So it's better to be not sure zone, we can say, if we are not confirm about the status of a particular person, then to commit an aparat. Because if we judge person, then definitely it's not sure that whatever judgment we are passing, it is confirmed. Sometimes out of our envy or our superiority complex or inferiority complex, we may judge person and we may commit aparat. Therefore, it's better to always respect everybody. It is said by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Amanina Manadena. One should not expect respect for oneself and give respect to all others. So in this way one can be safeguarded. But having said that, one should not think that himself to be so advanced that he can overpass all these rules and regulations. The another extreme of this Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigya na bujai is saying that I am so advanced that I don't need to follow any rules and regulations. Because I am always remembering Krishna, so I need not to come for Mangalati. I won't wake up early in the morning. So this is just a cheating of the mind. Our mind tricks us into thinking that we are advanced and we don't follow the rules and regulations because we are advanced. But the actual thing is that we might not be so advanced, and our mind is tricking us into thinking that these much rules regulations are not required because I have been practicing since such a long time. Now I have made considerable advancement. So it's okay to let go some of the rules and regulations and just follow whatever I am comfortable. And I am safe here. I can do whatever I like. So this is another extreme of this statement, Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigna Bujai, that one thinks himself advanced, although one might not be actually advanced, and starts overlooking the rules and regulations which are important for our advancement. So here it is said that a highly advanced Vaishnava lives in such a way that no one can understand what he is or what he was. So a Vaishnava should never be judged by his past, as it is said. One should not worry about the past of a saintly person, as it said, because we have to, every living entity is potentially divine. The nature of every living entity is that it is Satchitanand. It is a servant, every living entity is part and parcel of Lord, and it has all the saintly qualities. That is the original nature of every living entity. But having rebelled against Krishna, having desired to enjoy independently of the Lord, a living entity comes into this material world, and then it gets covered over by the three modes of material nature, and there are so many anarthas he acquires and so many knots in the heart he acquires, because of which he may act in so many abominable ways, following the regulative principles, not following the basic principles of human life, like meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex, and he may become degraded. But originally, as a spirit soul, he is uncontaminated. So as soon as one takes to devotional service, so the purification starts. And when the purification starts, if somebody is engaged in the process of purification, one cannot blame that such and such person was so abominable, or he did all this nonsense in his past. One should always try to refrain from making such comments on a Vaishnava about his past life. Because the example is given that suppose a person falls in the mud, so his whole body is covered by mud. But after getting up from the mud, now he comes under the shower and he is taking shower. And while taking shower, half of his body is already clean, and somebody at that point sees that person and said, see, this person is covered with mud. But there is no point in making this judgment, because he is already taking bath. He will in due course of time get cleared of all the mud. Similarly, those who have come to Krishna consciousness, although due to their past activities, past habits, even now may indulge in these abominable activities due to occasional slip, or due to past conditioning, but we cannot judge them, because they are under the purification. They are chanting the holy names of the Lord, and by the potency of the holy name, the cloud of the anarthas in their heart would be clean, and they will surely manifest the qualities of saintly person in due course of time. As it is said in the Bhagavad Gita also, Api cheda sudurachara bhajate maam ananya bhag sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito isa. Because one is situated properly in the devotional service, so although he may be doing some apparently bad activities, but because of his vow to be situated in the devotional service, he should be considered a saintly person. Although there is a warning in the purport of this shloka that if somebody commits offenses, means sinful activities, taking the advantage of this shloka, that okay, now I am chanting the holy name, I can do whatever I like, some sinful activities are okay, then it is said that he is still a Vaishnava, but of very low level, and one should avoid the association of even such Vaishnavas also, because they are not properly situated in their acharan, their habits. Therefore, one should offer respects mentally, but one should avoid the associations of such person. But if one is honest, and because of his past conditioning he is falling and he is slipping, but he is repentant in his heart, sincerely repenting and praying to the Lord and following the process given by our acharyas, and then gradually, surely he will get purified, as Lord says in the next verse, Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanehi name bhakta pranashyati. Right? So, Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma, that very soon he will become Dharmatma, he will be decorated with all the saintly qualities. And he will become purified and be situated in the right position. So we should be careful that we should not, those who have come to Krishna consciousness now, whatever their past might be, we should overlook their past and just see how they are rendering the services they are doing now and how sincere they are, and based on that we should learn to respect those people, because everybody has a past and we should overlook that past and see what he is doing presently. So Narad Muni is thus describing, will describe in the future and shlokas also what were the discussions being held between Prahlad Maharaj and this saintly person. So one more thing is that Narad Muni is so enthused always to hear, to discuss the activities of Prahlad Maharaj, because by the association of Prahlad Maharaj, by describing the activities also we get the association of such saintly person. As it is said about the holy name, that Naam and Nami are non-different. When we are chanting the holy names of Lord Krishna is himself present in the form of the holy vibration. So similarly, when we discuss about the activities of saintly persons like Prahlad Maharaj or this Avadhuta, actually we are associating with such saintly persons. If we are in the right spirit of submission and attentiveness, then we are actually associating with such saintly person and we are getting purified. And that is the process of Bhagavad Dharma. Nityam Bhagavad Sevaya, that when we regularly hear Bhagavatam with attention and with absorption and with submissive open heart, then we get transported to the transcendental platform. There is a mystery how it has happened. Like we can see in the example of Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit Maharaj was hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadev Goswami, and for 7 days and 7 nights he forgot eating, sleeping, and mating and defending everything, and he was just absorbed in the thoughts of Lord and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And it is said that he was so eager to hear Bhagavatam that it is when devotee was explaining that in the 10th canto, when Shukadev Goswami was explaining how Putana came to kill Lord Krishna. So when Shukadev Goswami started explaining that how Putana was a Balaghatani, how she was a sinful lady and she had smeared poison on her breast and she was coming to kill Krishna. So it was said that Parikshit Maharaj was trembling. Oh, what will happen to Krishna now? Its Putana has come. Although Parikshit Maharaj knew that his grandfather Arjun was with Lord Krishna, so definitely Krishna would not be killed in the childhood because he was there in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He was aware of it. But since he was so absorbed in the Bhagavatam, what Shukadev Goswami was explaining, that he did not care about such logical arguments. He was absorbed and he was thinking that whatever Shukadev Goswami is saying, he is saying for me, and thus he was absorbed and he was oblivious of his bodily necessities. And thus such was the attentive and submissive hearing of all the saintly person, Shaunakadi Rishis, that they all were very attentive and thus they were transported to the spiritual realm, so that they forgot eating, sleeping. They were situated on the spiritual platform simply by hearing. Similarly, we can also gain the maximum benefit of Srimad Bhagavatam and chanting the holy name if we are also very attentive and also submissive. That is, our heart is open, we with complete faith, we hear Bhagavatam. It's said that we have always the opportunity to associate with the Lord in the form of His holy name and get purified by the vibration of Bhagavatam, because Bhagavatam is also non-different from Krishna. It is a literary incarnation of Lord Krishna, as it said in the first canto, that after Lord Krishna went to the spiritual world after completing his activities, then Purana Arko Adunodita. So, Kalau Nashta Drishamesha Purana Arko Adunodita. So, to guide the people of the Kali Yuga, that Purana Arka, the son of Bhagavatam, which is non-different, literary incarnation of Lord Krishna, has come. But our experience is that we feel sleepy, or we don't feel like hearing or reading Srimad Bhagavatam because we lack the proper submission and attentiveness. Similarly, in the case of chanting holy name, so the Acharyas are explaining that how Rupa Goswami is explaining that when I utter the word Krishna, the two syllables Krishna are producing so much nectar that I wish that I had thousands of mouths and I had millions of ears to relish the nectar of the name Krishna. But our position is that when the 16 rounds will finish and we'll tie the japa bag on the door. So such is the position because we are missing the opportunity. We also have the same opportunity available every time we come in front of the deities. We hear Bhagavatam, we read Bhagavatam, we chant the holy name. The same opportunity is available with us also to absorb ourselves completely and to be submissive and open our heart. And then we will be transported to the spiritual realm, and we will be experiencing the sweetness of the holy name and Srimad Bhagavatam. But the problem is that we give priority to so many other things while doing Bhagavatam, or we get distracted, we are not attentive, or we sometimes lack proper faith, that's why we are not submissive. So we need to work on these anarthas in our heart to get the maximum benefit of the activities which we are performing. So the opportunity is available with us, and we should take the maximum benefit of it by getting into the proper spirit of understanding Srimad Bhagavatam and chanting the holy name. Otherwise, we will not get the taste of the process. We will just do it mechanically. And although doing mechanically also has some benefit with it, but with comparison to the benefit, immense benefit which can be reaped by doing it consciously and attentively, understanding the essence, not just doing it mechanically and ritualistically, it's very insignificant, the benefit of doing it unconsciously. It is said there are two kinds of Sukriti. One is Agyata Sukriti and there is Gyata Sukriti. So by performing the activities of devotional service, we are getting Sukriti. We will surely advance. But if we don't do it consciously, like a sweeper in the temple is also sweeping the temple, and a devotee might also sweep the temple. But there is a difference in the consciousness. The sweeper is thinking that, oh, today there is so much to sweep. Now I will be tired today because the work has doubled today. And he is thinking about when the month will end and I will get money. So this is the consciousness. So although he is sweeping the temple, he will get some benefit. But for a devotee who is conscious that, oh, this is the temple of Lord, this is the home of the Lord, who is the master of the whole universe, and I am getting the opportunity to sweep the temple of the Lord. Thousands of Lakshmis are eager in the Vaikuntha to sweep for the pleasure of the Lord, and I am getting the same opportunity. How fortunate I am. So in this consciousness, thinking oneself to be a servant of the Lord and understanding the exalted position of the Lord, when one engages in the sweeping activity, the benefit reaped is far more higher than the person who is acting as a sweeper and just doing it ritualistically because he has to get some salary. So similarly, in every activity, whatever activity we might be doing, we are doing Goshala service like Mataji, making garlands. In every service, if we have the proper consciousness, then that is a Gyata Sukriti, and which is thousands times more fruitful than having just Agyata Sukriti or just doing it unconsciously, mechanically, without understanding the essence, why I am doing it, for whom I am doing it, what is the immense benefit I am going to get by doing these activities. Thus, we should try, I am also a struggling soul, so we should try to cultivate proper consciousness in doing the devotional activities, in hearing Bhagavatam, attending Darshanarati, Mangalarati, so that we may advance in the spiritual life and be happily situated. So we'll end here. If anybody has any question, comment, and ask. Yes.
Without judging how one will know that somebody is not devotee and somebody is not devotee. And spiritual life is like every moment we judge that something is dharma or something is not dharma, who is following dharma, who is not following dharma. So then it becomes contradictory that no one knows we should not judge everybody. And without judging, we don't know who is what and on what stage he is.
Yeah, very nice question. Prabhuji is asking that unless we judge, how would we associate? As Rupa Goswami also says that one should associate with, serve and associate with advanced devotee, and with Madhyama we should make friendship and to be compassionate with the neophyte, as it said by Rupa Goswami. So judgment is required, Prabhuji is saying that if you don't make judgment, then how would we associate? But the judgment, if we are not advanced, anyways we will not be able to understand who is the advanced devotee. Because Prahlad Maharaj could understand who was this Avaduta, others could not. Although in our cases, pure devotees manifest the symptoms, so we can understand through the Shastras to some extent that who is a pure devotee. But if we keep on judging every person, then since we have also anartha in our heart, to show our superiority, or have our ego, or have our superiority complex, then there are chances that we may judge for taking pleasure in showing somebody inferior. If we are doing judgment just to safeguard ourselves and we don't broadcast to others that, oh, this person is such and such, then we are safe. For our benefit we are doing, then that's okay. And still even better to go to our authorities who are more advanced than us.
Then we have done this decision also, his opinion also. Because everybody has to judge whatever he hears, they have to judge based on the scriptures.
Yeah, at least we have, right, authority we have to judge. So we have our spiritual authority, our Guru Maharaj, and his senior disciples who are bona fide by him, who have been accredited by him only. It's not that we have to accept everybody and anybody, as it is in the principle of spirituality that we should respect all, associate with few, intimately associate with very few, and follow one. So we are following one, our spiritual master and Acharyas Prabhupada, and those who have been sincerely serving our spiritual master, and Guru Maharaj is also recognized them as their representative. So instead of making judgment and making the whole environment poisonous by passing judgments and making comments on each other, we could go to that senior person and he will tell us that whether we should, how much association we could take. Can we just, he is our seva authority, then we just need to accept whatever sevas he is allotting. He might not be so spiritually advanced that we should intimately associate with him. But if he is spiritually advanced also, then our senior godbrother may suggest that, okay, no problem, he is very advanced, you made wrong judgment, then he can correct us. So it's a safer way.
But like when already person is on a middle level, and of course judgment is also not a maybe like authority is also not one who is guiding it. Like there was one bookstore in Bengal, like business, and there is one book of sannyas, and then the devotee asked that whether should he translate the book or not, and the counselor said that okay, you don't require it. So then it becomes that the person who is guiding also, he may be having already expensive ideas about something. So easy should be on a scriptures, not like personal. Generally people think like judging is criticism. Judging is not criticism. It's distillation between what is dharma and adharma. And it's so like when we judge and then we have to declare everybody and label somebody. But it's based on the scriptures and the parampara. But then the judgment, the criteria of judgment is one's own understanding instead of the scriptures. Then it becomes a mala. So then we would be opposite that of course that you don't become the good, but sometimes it's just this opinion. not and he will be sometimes blocking the even genuine query of some person with genuinely asking, but still may be having some wrong understanding of particular move.
Right.
And he misjudged the situation, and the junior is who is following blindly one way, just taking opinion and not based on the scriptures, because there are scriptures also, and we have to then take consideration of even for authority also. When we hear, then we have to take consideration of scriptures and previous data also, not just based on okay, I am following this one, and I have to follow that particular person because it's approved by the formal system. In formal system also, one has to make decision based on the scripture, because principle of scriptures are eternal. And of course, if one is genuine, then the Paramatma will guide him about this proper decision.
Yeah, if somebody is a blind follower, it's never required that one has to blindly follow one authority because he is not a pure devotee. Then he has to be reasonable, right? If he is feeling any doubt, then definitely he can go to his authority and clarify why did he stop me from reading this particular book. So maybe they can explain or make an allow. So yeah, it is a possibility. There are so many permutation combinations are possible that the counselor of somebody might also be biased because he is not also so advanced. But it's still better to remain under that person and go to his authority and ask and try to follow, satisfy him, because sooner or later that is going to get revealed also. If somebody is again and again getting biased against somebody, then that person would be sooner or later revealed by Lord Krishna to everybody that such person has such and such anartha. So in this way, what we are saying that in the framework of community, this discussion about the follies of others, it creates an environment which is not so conducive.
That is different thing. That is two different things than making discrimination. Because everyone we have to make discrimination. Whether it will be what we are eating also we make this discrimination. Whether it is good in the body or not. Mental thing also we do, and spiritual matter also. Discrimination. Generally what judgmental putting a label internally, like he is like lazy only. Like internally you are putting some label on somebody. That may be that is not small, but you have whenever you see somebody's activity, one way okay, just is consider everybody is advanced, and we not to judge. And another thing is based on scriptural understanding, you make your understanding about some particular person, and of course if you are on a proper understanding, then of course not guiding properly, then of course somebody has some other routine, then of course Bhakta will understand also him, some devotee after associating with the Lord of God, he started making some wrong assumption about Prabhupada. So some maybe hidden only some entities there, and they were misguided. So it's also depend on the person's motive.
Yes, one has to use his intelligence to make judgment based on scriptures, but also he should confirm with some senior also. He should not just make a judgment and consider his judgment to be perfect. He should also discuss with Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. He should not just be concerned with the scriptures and based on his intelligence make decision. He should also consult with some other sadhus and Guru to be sure of his judgment, to just avoid the risk of committing an offense. That was the point. One has to use intelligence. By using our intelligence only we have come so far in the spiritual life and guidance of the... So that guidance is always required. We cannot just say that we have to judge on our own. We are relying on our intelligence then, but we are suffering from 4 defects. So how can we be sure that whatever judgment I am making about somebody is 100% right? there might be some reason why that person is doing what he is doing. So there is better to go to his authority and clarify. That's the point I'm making, that instead of just making judgment on the basis of activity, Vaishnava Kriya Vidya, just by seeing one activity, if we pass judgment, we might not know the background of that person, why he is doing, what are the background. So, although apparently it might look that on the basis of Shastra he is doing wrong.
It's like maybe about making judgment of behavior. And when somebody like speaking the principles, and if he's speaking wrong principles, then of course there is sufficient. Then there is no like okay, he is making just we can imagine that maybe the audience is different. That's why he's speaking different Siddhant. Siddhant is different also. When somebody is speaking, then of course just based on that also we can make judgment with it's on now it's not behavior. Behavior may be like he may have some reasons, but when he speaks principle and it is not according to principle, then just we can make judgment that it is wrong. And there is no need to ensure that okay he may be in some other than motive. And he need to clarify also motive of speaking some other way.
Yeah, we can clarify with that person why you are saying like this, and the acharyas have said like this. We can, yes, we need to judge while accepting what the philosophy.
Somebody is like very big, then of course, generally people are careful to make judgment about him or to even point out him or because he is very big known person, very religious people hearing him and who are we? Okay, let's go. Okay.
But at least personally, we have our seniors. We can discuss with them and be sure that what he said, should we follow or not. If we have doubts, there is always an option to clarify. We might not be able to say to that person because of his status, his position and influence, but we have our seniors and we can discuss with them and be clear about our ideology about that person. Not just if somebody said like this and according to me he is wrong, so I label him like that. Better to also discuss. Your judgment might be right also. I'm not saying that our judgment will always be wrong because we have spent considerable time. But whenever judging somebody, there is a risk. What can we do? We are in the community of Vaishnavas. We have to judge. And that Rupa Goswami is saying we have to judge of whose association we are taking. But while passing our judgment, we should be very considerate. We should not label somebody just because we think some way. It might be wrong also. There is always a chance. That's what I'm saying. So better be sure then only to judge. That's what I'm saying. Does it? I think Prabhuji would like to add something.
Actually, I think both the points are same. The discussion is not on the judgment, because judgment, Prabhupada says that one has to apply his intelligence for progressing in Krishna consciousness. And I think Bhakta Prabhu is only considering that even after applying our intelligence, it is good to verify with the seniors on whom we have the trust. Before making an image of final assumption, first we apply our intelligence based on the Shastra, and then we can verify that intelligence from the Guru and Acharya, Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. That's why three things are there. So judgment is not the problem, but verification should be there proper, so that in future we should not think that we made a mistake. Because Shastras are also very wide. There are many descriptions which we may not also know, no matter how advanced or how many years we have passed. So before making a final calculation, it is good to verify with someone superior to whom we have the trust. Like that. I think this is the main point.